So let me just say a couple of things. Give you a brief update on insurance. We've been working with the clubs and the RLPA for many months on a permanent insurance scheme for the game. I'm here today to announce that we've put a scheme in place to the end of this season, to March next year, whereby we'll see insurance cover increase to $1 million, and we'll also see 2 years worth of employment salary protection as a part of that deal. We'll continue to work with the RLPA on a permanent solution, and we expect it to look something like this interim solution. But that's the decision that we've reached unanimously with the CEOs today, and we've still got a little bit of work to do with the RLPA.
So the RLPA, will they have to agree to this?
Look, it's a combined discussion. It's been a combined discussion all along. Importantly, we've had a unanimous discussion agreement with the club CEOs, who've also been part of this process so far, and we're well down the track with the Players Association.
What's keeping it from being a full-time permanent agreement right now? Why is it only interim?
We're doing a number of long-term changes to the game around player welfare. So I think what this recognises is a very significant step forward for the game to make sure that this season we've got the protections that we need. But this is about a permanent solution. So this, combined with the foundation, combined with a broader whole-of-game insurance scheme, is what we hope to have in place by next March.
Dave, what does this mean for Alex McKinnon and Simon Dwyer?
Oh, look, I think Alex McKinnon, you would have gone through the Rise for Alex round. It's been a fantastic round, and hopefully we've raised a lot of money for Alex. And I think the protection that we're putting in place is for serious and permanent injury, and it would include the loss of use of a limb. That type of serious injury. It's not just about catastrophic injury. So going forward, I think the game is in a much stronger position.
What about like Simon Dwyer? Obviously, it's happened in the past. Is he covered by this, or will he have to wait for the foundation, or does this apply retrospectively? I guess.
Oh, look, the details of the scheme, I'm not on top of the details of the scheme, so I don't know about the retrospective application of it. What I can tell you is it puts the game in a much stronger position going forward. It's a broader set of cover. It's a larger payout, plus it has this 2-year employment protection.
Is it disappointing it's taken such a tragic incident like Alex McKinnon to get this scheme in place?
I don't know. From the club's point, I don't think that's the case. The reality is we've been working on this with the Players Association and with the NRL for nearly 12 months now to make sure we have a long-term. We've known that the current scheme wasn't adequate. We've worked really hard with insurers and with the Players Association to get to where we are today. So it's not just about the unfortunate tragedy with Alex. It's about trying to go long-term into the future about what we're going to do for players' welfare, and I think that's what the outcome of today is. Today, as I said, it's not just about the decision today. We've been working on this for a long period.
Would you say the NRL's been behind some other codes in this area?
I think what Dave and his team's tried to do is bring us up to date with some of the other codes in this area. There's no question mark about that. As in many parts of the game, we've been brought up to date. But I think that it's about going forward. It's not about just looking back.
Let me be clear as well, it's a very, very significant shift. So today we're talking about the top 25 players, but what I've described more broadly is an insurance scheme that covers the whole game, whether you're a junior playing junior footy or whether you're playing in the NRL, a foundation that will allow for those tragic accidents which happen, let's face it, they happen very, very, very rarely, but when they do, we want to be there to support the family. We want to be there to support the players wherever you play in rugby league. So what we're talking about here is a suite of things that have been very well thought out. We're starting with protection now because we want the protection now. We have brought it up to date, but it is very much part of a longer term ambition around welfare for every player in our game.
So that foundation, the longer term insurance scheme, who's going to carry the cost of that? Is that shared between the players, the clubs, the RLPA?
It's a shared cost ultimately, and what we'll do with the broader insurance scheme is it will be tiered. So if a player would like to take extra cover, it'll be very clear what the premium might be, and it will be with a much smaller group of insurers rather than the plethora of insurers that we have across the game right now.
Dave, you mentioned that you're not aware of what's behind you now, but can you imagine Simon Dwyer or other players sitting out there watching this now whose careers have been ended over the last 12 months to 2 years? They might say, well, where am I in all this?
Look, I completely understand the position, and I've spoken to Simon personally, and I know that we continue to talk to Simon, and I spoke to the Players Association about that discussion yesterday. What this does, though, is it positions the game for the future. I can't focus on the past. What I can do with the clubs, with the RLPA, is provide a very strong platform for player welfare going forward. At the end of the day, this is a very, very, very safe game. But when accidents happen, when tragic accidents happen, as we've seen with Alex, what we need to make sure is that we're catering for players not just within their playing contracts, but recognising it is going to have an impact on their lives. This starts to do that.
Great news, but will you have a look at the past?
Look, I don't know the details of the insurance scheme, so I'm sorry I can't answer that question in terms of the retrospective application of it. And we need to make sure though that we're prepared and provided for from this point forward.
When will the foundation be set up?
Look, foundations take a long time to set up, so the idea is to have it in place by the end of the year. Our main focus in the last 2 months around the foundation was getting Alex's foundation in place. So our idea is that we would have the foundation in by the end of this year. The insurance schemes across the game all mature approximately next March. So by next March, with this interim arrangement, what you should see is a convergence across those schemes such that the game has one insurance scheme and it's comprehensive in its application.
And Dave, are the schemes and now the one scheme totally administered by you, or do you need to purchase insurance yourself from an outside company?
Look, and I think Shane made this point earlier on. We have been self-insuring the players to this point, so it's not like there's been nothing in place. What we've been doing is working on a much more permanent structure that allows the game to put welfare at the forefront. So what it will end up being is that there'll be an insurer in place, and it will be very clear what the risk policy is, and it will be very clear what the payment policy is. So that will be across the whole game, and the clubs, the RLPA and the NRL are at one with this. What we're doing is we're finalising the negotiation, but be clear, everybody has the same issue at front of mind, and that's player welfare.
So you're
David, do the majority of players need to buy into the interim scheme for it to work? For it to be cost effective? Like, do you need pretty much almost 100% of RLPA members to buy in for that to go ahead?
Look, I think we've agreed the broad funding mechanism. I think it's much more about consultation. What we want to make sure, as with all things, that when we come up with schemes, whether it be the club CEOs or whether it be the Players Association and the players, we want to make sure that they've got a voice, and that's the process that's underway. We've had a good conversation with the club CEOs, very constructive. People have added a lot of good things to the discussion, and that the discussion with the players is now underway. But it's not about funding.